Every single day, you wake up inside the same mind that created your yesterday. You think the same thoughts, feel the same emotions, and perform the same actions, all while expecting something new to happen. Laziness, procrastination, and lack of motivation are not moral failures. They're deeply ingrained neurological patterns. The truth is, your mind is a battlefield where two forces collide: the desire for growth and the addiction to comfort. The brain is not your enemy. It's a survival machine designed to conserve energy and keep you safe. But in that safety, it often traps you in a loop of familiar habits, repeated emotions, and predictable results. Laziness isn't something you're born with. It's something you've practiced over and over until it became who you think you are. Imagine your brain as a complex electrical circuit. Every thought you think sends a signal down a neural pathway. And every time you repeat that thought, "I'll do it later. I don't feel like it. I'm too tired," you strengthen that pathway. You're literally wiring your brain for procrastination. Your thoughts become your feelings. Your feelings create your actions, and your actions form your identity. Over time, that identity becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You begin to see yourself as a lazy person, when in reality, you're just someone running an old program. When you understand that your mind is programmable, you realize that laziness is not a sentence, it's a software issue. The human brain is designed to adapt, to change, and to evolve. It's called neuroplasticity, the ability to rewire itself based on what you repeatedly do, think, and feel. The moment you become aware of your mental patterns, you separate yourself from them. You're no longer the lazy person. You're the observer who notices the habit. And that awareness is the first act of power. Because the moment you observe, you interrupt the automatic cycle that keeps you in mediocrity. The mind is always trying to do, cannot destroy laziness by force. You must transform the identity that created it. Every action you take or fail to take begins with who you believe yourself to be. If you identify as someone who struggles with motivation, you'll always act in alignment with that belief. Your behaviors will bend around that self-image. You'll make decisions that confirm it because the human mind craves consistency. You're not lazy by nature. You're loyal to the version of yourself that's repeated the story of being lazy for so long that it became truth. To kill your laziness, you don't need more motivation. You need to become someone else. Every thought carries a frequency, every emotion a vibration. And your brain is constantly matching the world you see to the identity you hold. When you wake up and tell yourself, "I can't change," your brain will show you every piece of evidence that supports that belief. But if you dare to tell a different story, if you dare to act as if you are already the disciplined, focused version of yourself, your brain begins to rewire to match that new reality. It's not pretending. It's programming. The subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined. It only follows repetition and emotion. That means if you begin each morning by feeling the version of you who acts, who decides, who follows through, your body and mind start aligning with that future. Think of your old self as a habit. The habit of being tired, the habit of making excuses, the habit of waiting for the right moment. When you've repeated these emotional states enough times, they become memorized. Your body wakes up expecting to feel lazy before your mind even decides what to do. That's because your subconscious mind has taken over the show. To break that cycle, you have to unlearn the identity that's running on autopilot. You have to think greater than how you feel. You must act greater than the emotions you've practiced for years. And the moment you do, your brain begins to record a new map of reality. Imagine waking up, and before you reach for your phone, before you open your eyes fully, you visualize the person you're becoming. You picture how that version of you breathes, speaks, moves, and works. You hold that vision until your body feels it as if it's already true. You don't wait for discipline to appear. You embody it. That is how you reprogram identity from the inside out. When your brain and body believe you are that future self, laziness loses its power because it no longer matches your frequency. You're no longer fighting an old habit. You've simply outgrown it. Reprogramming your identity also means changing your relationship with discomfort. The old you avoided it because discomfort felt unsafe. Everything you do, think, or feel costs energy. Energy is the invisible fuel behind every choice you make, and laziness is not the absence of will, it's the absence of energy. When your energy is trapped in old emotional states like doubt, guilt, boredom, or frustration, your body doesn't have the power to act. You can have the biggest dreams in the world, but if your energy is locked inside negative emotions, your potential stays dormant. The truth is, most people are not lazy because they lack ambition. They're lazy because they are energetically drained from reliving the same past over and over again. Every time you think about your limitations, replay your failures, or feel unworthy, you're spending energy on a story that keeps you small. The human body is like a battery that recharges through focus, movement, breath, and awareness. When you waste energy on overthinking, worrying, or comparing yourself, you drain that battery before the day even begins. Your brain consumes nearly 20% of your body's total energy, and it will always choose efficiency over transformation. That's why it prefers comfort. It's easy, predictable, and safe. But safety doesn't create growth. To break out of laziness, you must learn to redirect energy toward creation instead of survival. You must reclaim the energy that's been leaking into stress and redirect it into movement, learning, and purpose. Think about what happens when you start your day scrolling through social media, reacting to other people's lives. Your mind begins to mirror those emotions, your nervous system gets triggered, and you enter survival mode without even realizing it. Your brain starts conserving energy because it senses threat or comparison. That's when procrastination kicks in. You don't lack drive, you're simply stuck in a low-energy state that's chemically familiar. And because it's familiar, your body believes that's where it belongs. The key is not to wait until you feel ready. It's to move your body first and let energy follow. Motion creates emotion. When you move, breathe deeply, and focus your attention on the present moment, your body begins to produce new chemistry. Hormones of stress get replaced by hormones of vitality. Oxygen floods your cells, your brain lights up with clarity, and suddenly, what felt impossible an hour change doesn't begin when you think differently. It begins when thought and action become one. Every time you act, you teach your brain what matters. Every time you follow through, even on something small, you tell your subconscious that you are trustworthy. This is the foundation of the action loop, the cycle that transforms intention into identity. Laziness dies when momentum is born, and momentum begins with movement, not motivation. The greatest misconception is that you need to feel inspired before taking action. But the truth is, action itself creates inspiration. The moment you start, you begin generating energy. The very act of doing is what awakens the dormant parts of your brain that were asleep under the weight of hesitation and fear. When you take a small action, your brain releases dopamine, a chemical that signals progress and reward. That surge reinforces the behavior, making it easier to repeat. Each time you act, you carve a new neural pathway that says, "This is who I am now." The more you repeat that loop, the stronger it becomes. Soon, the act of showing up replaces the habit of waiting. The mind begins to associate movement with satisfaction, effort with joy, and discipline with freedom. It's not about massive changes overnight. It's about consistent repetition of small, intentional acts that reshape the structure of your brain. Every push-up, every completed task, every early morning rewrites your internal narrative. You're proving to your mind that action is not painful, it's powerful. The action loop thrives on consistency, not perfection. When you miss a day, don't label it as failure. Observe it, adjust, and return. The brain learns through repetition and emotion, not judgment. The more you emotionally connect with your progress, the more your subconscious embraces it. When you celebrate small victories, you're literally wiring your brain for success. Each win becomes a piece of evidence that supports your new identity. You begin to feel that effort and growth are natural states of being. Your nervous system starts to associate action with safety instead of threat, and that's when laziness begins to dissolve from your system. The action loop is also about awareness. Every time you catch yourself hesitating, you're standing at the crossroads of old programming and new potential. The moment you notice that pause and decide to move anyway, you weaken the old neural circuits that feed procrastination. You're teaching your body that discomfort isn't danger. It's transformation. The first 5 seconds after you think of doing something are the most critical. If you act before your mind talks you out of it, you interrupt the old identity and strengthen the new one. The body follows the mind, and the mind follows what you repeatedly do. This process is not just psychological. The body learns through evidence.